Hey, what's up guys, it is Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So we are going to be still working on the new lore for the characters from Soul Calibur 6, because obviously since it's a reboot of the series, as we were talking about last week, every character has brand new lore, whether that be small changes or, infinitely greater changes completely to their character. I just felt the need to cover these before we get into our Malfested video. I think it's important to cover all this new lore before we get into that video, just so we have like a streamlined basis for all of our characters, just to see what kind of development they're going through and what has changed, because it may be different from before. Today's video is going to cover Isabella Valentine, otherwise known as Ivy. So we're going to start with her biographical information, and then we're going to move on to her new lore. So obviously Isabella Ivy Valentine is from London, the British Empire, and her status is neutral. She works pretty much for the sword, for Soul Edge, but she's been known to veer from that. I think she left completely because she used to be part of the Enforcers team that was headed up by Nightmare himself. So we can actually get into that a little bit later when we talk about the Malfested stuff, but she uses her snake sword, which the weapon's name is the Ivy Blade. Daughter of the English aristocratic family in the Valentines, Ivy was raised in a loving environment. Unfortunately, it was not to last. Her father's insanity and excessive spending drove him to an early grave, followed shortly afterward by her mother. While mourning, Ivy discovered her father was an alchemist obsessed with finding Soul Edge, which he believed was the key to immortality. She understood why Soul Edge was referred to as the Cursed Sword, and vowed to destroy the blade that had driven her father into madness. In order to do so, however, she would require a stronger weapon. She threw herself into alchemy in hopes of discovering one. The fruit of Ivy's research was a magic sword that she called the Ivy Blade. It was a unique weapon capable of shape-shifting according to her will, at times acting like a sword to slice her enemy to pieces, and in other times like a whip to grab and lash them. However, none of this would mean anything without the cooperation of one particular individual. Ivy went to meet Nightmare, and for a short while assisted him in his activities. To outsiders looking in, she was a member of Nightmare's Covenant Shield, and appeared to be close advisor to the oppressive ruler. Once the Azure Knight was defeated, however, information on Ivy's whereabouts became scarce. Some said she had been deceived by Nightmare. Others maintained that she had abandoned her position as a subordinate of the Azure Knight in order to destroy Soul Edge. One rumor even said that she had discovered her true identity. In Soul Chronicle, at the start of her journey, Ivy encountered Sung Mina, and easily defeated her, warning her later that she was too weak. After killing many innocent lives to feed Soul Edge, Ivy started to doubt Nightmare's goal of resurrecting his father. As she tried to leave Ostrheinsburg, she was then confronted by Astaroth, who bluntly told her that Soul Edge was sought to destroy was in front of her all along. After Ivy won the fight, she was called a spare vessel by Astaroth before he departed to deal with other intruders. When Ivy decided to confront Nightmare about the truth, she was stopped by Taki, who showed the alchemist her connections to Soul Edge. After their fight, Ivy was forced to face the truth that she was the daughter of the previous wielder of Soul Edge, Cervantes, and that she indeed was the spare vessel for Soul Edge. Meanwhile, in the main story, while Kilik and Maxi were confronting a swarm of lizard men, Ivy attacked Changhua, but their battle ended when their opponent's companions quickly returned. Stating that she had fulfilled her duty, Ivy allowed the trio to continue to Ostrheinsburg. We see more lore littered out throughout other Soul Chronicles that were added, so we're going to cover them as well. In 1584, Ivy helped a group of warriors to invade the Money Pit in order to find the notes of the late weapons dealer, Virtue. While she was successful in obtaining the notes, Ivy was pursued by Voldo, Virtue's right-hand man and guardian of the Money Pit. When he finally caught up to her, Ivy gave the notes back, stating that she had obtained the information that she needed. When Cervantes arrived at Ostrheinsburg, Ivy confronted her follower to kill him, but he proved to be too powerful for Ivy and was soundly defeated. She was only spared because Cervantes determined her soul too weak for the moment and wanted her to become stronger to reap her soul later. And then in Libra of Soul, Ivy encountered the Conduit after they were hired by the army of Wolfkrone to hunt down the remnants of the Covenant shield. She lost to them, but Ivy's blade acted on its own to protect its master from the Conduit. Ivy then decided to try and live once the Wolfkrone army arrived to confront her. Now, Ivy is one of those characters that I've always been not only fascinated by, but I really liked her in the previous games, and this game is no different. I just like the fact that she's not completely aligned with one side or the other. She kind of does her own thing, and she's in her own quest for truth and finding herself, and she's inadvertently finding these things out along her path. It seems that like she's trying to find her place in the lore of SOULCALIBUR, and I kind of like what they're going with her character. Obviously, there is some similarities to her previous lore, but this sheds a little bit more light on specifically what happens and when, and it also goes into more about like how she found out that Cervantes was her father. So I think that if we're going to follow this story to its ultimate conclusion, we're going to go similarly to where it went in the past, but instead of just seeking out Soul Edge to destroy it, I think that she's going to come to a wall where she finds out that if she can't even defeat Cervantes, then there's no way that she can ever destroy Soul Edge. Obviously, because even though he's not in possession of the Cursed Sword anymore, its power and remnants still obviously like are throughout him. I don't know whether you would consider him possessed or just malfested in general, but I'm not sure that Ivy is willing to stoop to that level in order to take him out. She's more of a co-conspirator. She's someone who I believe would join someone else on the journey and use them for whatever her means are to help meet her end goal. So if she is indeed looking to destroy Soul Edge or become in possession of it, then she's probably going to enlist the help of other people in order to do so. She's good at leading people on and deceit, obviously, but she doesn't do it in such an outright manner where it looks like she's literally just trying to manipulate people. It's more of a means to an end, or using a tool for its intended purpose in her eyes. So she's very savvy, and obviously if she picked up alchemy from her father and then like created her curse to her sword in and of itself, then she obviously is very capable. And this is something that we know. We've seen her with multiple alignments throughout the years, but from this new lore standpoint, I believe that she is actually going to play more of a pivotal role than she has in the past. She's probably going to be the ones who lead the Conduit and grow, and perhaps even the Evolve Corporation, into the lair of Nightmare in order to obtain the sword to do something to either A, stop the ultimate seed, the artificial seed that Aswell is creating, or to use its power to close the astral fissures once and for all, which will probably have an ill effect on the Conduit, which might actually lead into the rebirth of Algol himself. But that's all speculative, and we're probably going to talk more and touch on that in our Malfested video, where we go into like what if scenarios, which I am planning soon. But that's my opinion and ideas about Ivy and her new lore. Particularly, I'm fond of them, and I think it just adds more to her characterization and gives her, I think, a bit deeper meanings to her motivations outside of just like, let me go destroy my father and let me find Soul Edge. Since like we do have a lot more of a stronger look at what happened to her family and her finding out about herself and her true nature. So obviously this is a younger version of Ivy, so we're going to be seeing where she grows and where the character develops from here. But this is a good, strong start, I believe, and it's nice that she showed up in so many different characterizations of herself. She showed up in Libra, in other people's Soul Chronicles, her own Soul Chronicle, and the main story. So there's a lot there to work with, and that's why I think they're going to be using her more. I believe that her earliest interaction with Voldo is going to pique his curiosity and get him out of the money pit, but that's where we're going to go from there. And that's going to be the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about Ivy's new lore? Do you like it? Is it any different from the past? Is there any glaring omissions that you haven't seen, or anything that you would like to add to it? Just any and all thoughts in the comment section down below are always appreciated to start a conversation down there. And as always, guys, thank you, and thank you. Hey
Hey, what's up guys? Have you always wanted some sweet Mark Yoon merch? Maybe a thick U shirt, maybe a shirt from Squirt, maybe my pretty face with my logo all over your body, or a throw pillow, or blanket, or anything? Well, you're in luck because I just launched my merch store and it is going to be available on Redbubble, and you will find a link to it in my description box down below. It's got a lot of quality content and a lot of good stuff for you to pick up so you can show your support for the channel and just rep Mark Yoon. Alright guys, as always, thick U.